You've been putting in work when nobody sees, planting seeds in silence, watering dreams, smiling through pain, still showing up. Even You've been putting in work when nobody sees, planting seeds in silence, watering dreams, smiling through pain, still showing up. Even when life keep calling your bluff, they don't know what it costs you to stay in the race. The prayers you whispered with tears on your face, but you never folded, never sat still. That kind of faith gon' break through for real. Your time coming, I feel it in the wind. All that grind, all that pain, about to turn to winds. Every no you heard, God gon' flip to yes. Every closed door was just a divine test. So keep going hard, don't slow down, yeah. You ain't worked this long just to have regrets. You about to rise like you always knew. Your time coming, it's overdue. You kept showing love even when they switched, kept walking light when life got dark quick. You poured into others while running on E. But baby, breakthrough coming, just wait and see. You ain't crazy, you chosen. God saw the night you were broken. He kept receipts on every try, and he gon' bless you right on time. Stay in position, the table's turning in your favor, no permission. They gon' act like they always knew, but only you and God knew what you've been through. So chin up, don't let the pressure lie. Diamonds form when you don't quit the fight. It's closer than it's ever been for you. Your time coming, let 'em move. You ain't invisible, you just being built. Every scar, every tear is strength, not guilt. It's your season to shine, your name in lights. You paid your dues, now claim your rights. Your time coming, believe that truth. Everything they said you couldn't do gon' come through. So don't hold back, don't lose hope. This the moment God gon' help you float from pressure to power, from silent to loud, from overlooked to making him proud. Keep showing up, you already grew. Your time coming, and it's due. I've been fighting battles nobody ever knew, crying in the midnight, asking God what I should do. My heart was heavy, and I could barely lift my head. But even when I felt alone, His mercy never left. People that I trusted walked away without a sound. I had to lean on God just to stay on solid ground. I thought the pain would break me, thought I'd fall and disappear. But in the darkest place, He pulled me close and wiped my fear. I was hurting and shaking, but His grace kept me from breaking. Every scar became a story of the way He fought for me. I survived what was meant to break me. Every weapon that was formed couldn't take me. I'm still standing even when the hurt tried to change me. He stepped in every time the darkness chased me. I walked through the fire and came out shining. Storms tried to drown me, but I kept rising. I survived soul about. Smile through the pain while my faith worked it out. I love people who left me empty and confused. The ones I prayed for were the first to watch me lose. I had nights where I wondered if God still heard my cry. Nights where my prayers felt too small to reach the sky. But even in the silence, He was moving in the dark, healing every broken piece inside my heart.
Shalom, 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 everyone. I hope y'all can hear me. More willing, y'all can. Hope everybody's having a great and productive day. Shabbat shalom for the lunar Sabbath keepers. And have a great day for the ones who do not acknowledge the lunar Sabbath. But it's all love. All right. This is not the slide. Hold on 1 second, y'all. That's for another class. All right, hold on, give me 1 second. So here. Salakia. All right, now we back. This is what we're gonna do. This is Women of the Bible series. So we will be talking about Leah, right? When the Most High sees what others ignored. What the Most High sees when others ignored, right? And again, this is pertaining to Leah. All right. So, fruitful while unseen. Leah was a woman who was ignored by people but noticed by the Most High God, right? So Leah teaches us that being unseen by man doesn't mean that you're unchosen by the Most High God, right? So hidden does not mean rejected. Hidden does not mean rejected, right? So just although, someone that's around or people around, may not be acknowledging you, right? May not be acknowledging your progress that you've been trying to do within walking in this truth, or just in general within yourself. But the Most High sees it, right? So we just always gotta keep that in mind, that the Most High sees all, right? Moving on to the next thing, right? So let's get into the meaning of Leah, right? I feel like that's very much important. Like we went into last week, we went into the meaning of Sarah and Sarai, right? So let's get into Leah, right? Which is H, which is in Hebrew, right? H3812, 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 which is Leah, right? Which means weary, right? So worry usually refers to profound physical, emotional, or spiritual exhaustion, right? So Leah experienced deep emotional weariness, right? Feeling unloved by her husband, Jacob, right? And overlooked in favor of her sister, Rachel, leading to a life filled with heartache, competition, and a yearning for affection, right? That's those stuff that Leah would act per se wanted, right, at that time. All right, so so she was going through a lot of emotional exhaustion, right? So I feel like that matches her name very much so, right? So we're going on to the next one. How the world labels versus the Most High's assignment, right? What the Most High has assigned for us, right? So precept that I have is Genesis 29:16 through 17, Genesis 29:16 through 17, Genesis 29:16 through 17. And it reads, and Lebron had two daughters. The daughter of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah was tender-eyed, but Rachel was beautiful and well-favored, right? So Leah is introduced by what she looks, right? Or how she looks, right? In which was a lack of it, right? As far as compared to Rachel, right? Because they say Rachel was beautiful and well favored, right? So you can just tell that Leah was like, type of thing, right? Um, Rachel was more preferred over Leah, right? It merged and again was introduced by what she had, right? So because she was beautiful and well favored, right? And Leah was introduced as tender-eyed, right? So man preference is not equal to the Most High's choice, right? So if we look into tender or tendered-eyed, according to the blue letter, it's like soft, delicate, weak in a sense, right? But not weak like, you know, you're not finna do nothing, right? But it's just like she just had that soft, like tenderness, right? Um, which is, not sin or no failure, right? It's just she just was what she was, right? So on to the next thing, right? Um, so man's looks at affection again, right? The Most High looks at the assignment that He assigned unto you, right? So the next one I do have is Genesis 16 and 13. I don't have that on the screen, but I did want to pull this real quick. Genesis 16 and 13. I don't know why I didn't have that on the screen. Sorry. I'm gonna just go ahead and read this really quickly, and I ain't gonna read it. I'm gonna read it in KJV, and it reads, "And she called the name of the Lord that spake unto her, Thou God seest me, for she said, Have I also have looked after him that seest me? right? So although that's like spoken by Hagar, right, it also enforces the pattern of, or reinforces the pattern of the Most High sees afflicted women, right? The Most High sees you, right? So the Most High consistently, Salakia, responds to unseen women, right? Um, so go on to the next one. Chosen by circumstances, not desire. Chosen by circumstances and not desire. Right. So precept I have for that is Genesis 29, 23 to 25. Genesis 29, 23 to 25. Genesis 29, 23 to 25. And it reads, and it comes to pass in the evening that he took Leah, his daughter, and brought her to him. And he went into her, and Laban gave unto his daughter Leah Zalpa, his maid, for a handmaid. And it came to pass that in the morning, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, what is this that has done unto me? Did I not serve with ye for Rachel? Therefore, then hast thou beguiled me. Right? So we all know the story, right? Of how, Jacob wanted Rachel, right? He had to serve the father in order like to basically pay his dues, right? Pay what he needed to do in order to get that wife, right? And he basically beguiled him, right? And said, and basically gave him Leah, right? Instead of Rachel, in which he originally wanted, right? Which caused him have to serve more time in order to get Rachel and who he really wanted, right? So Leah was placed into Jacob's life through deception, right? Because he, again, gave him Leah instead of Rachel and who he actually wanted, right? So she did not choose her life, but she lived with the outcome. She still stayed. She did exactly what she needed to do and endured through it. Even though she didn't per se choose it, right? So many women carry pain that they didn't cause. A lot of us carry pain that we didn't cause, but that's the whole goal of just enduring through it, right? So being placed wrongly doesn't mean that you're placed without purpose, right? For again, if you're placed in a position that, or things happen that you didn't per se, you know, cause within yourself, right? Again, that doesn't mean that you're not placed without purpose, right? So on to the next one. It will be love less, see more, right? Yes. Love less, see more. The difference between rejection and ranking, right? So the precept that I have for that is Genesis 29, 30 to 31. Genesis 29, 30 to 31. Genesis 29, 30 to 31. And it reads, and he went in also into Rachel, and he loved also Rachel more than Leah. And he served with him yet 7 other years. And when the Lord saw that Rachel was hated, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren, right? So hated, not per se like, hate, right? We know, but she was just less favorable, right? As it already said, right? Rachel was always the most favorable one, right? And Leah wasn't per se favored, right? The Most High seen Leah emotional sufferance, right? And Rachel had affection, and Leah had fruitfulness, right? She had the fruits of everything, right? So Rachel was loved, but she also was barren, right? And Leah wasn't per se loved in the sense that she wanted to be loved in, right? But she had the fruit. Like, oh my God, like y'all, man, that's the word right there, right? So favor isn't always loud. It's fruitful, right? The Most High, may not show your favor in the way that you want him to show your favor, right? Or show his favor for you, right? But he will show it in a different way, right? Based off your fruits, right? So the Most High responds where people neglect at, right? Where people may not see, right? Or may not, again, see for you or see within you, right? So the Most High responds where people neglect at, right? I also have this other precept I don't have up there, but just going with the spirit, which is Psalms 27 and 10. Psalm 27 and 10. Psalm 27 and 10. And it reads, "When my father and my mother forsake me, then the Lord will take me up." Right? So that just also goes back into human rejection activates the divine covering, right? It activates the Most High's work, right? Of still showing favor within you, although people, man's validation is not the last say so, right? It's the Most High's say so. So we're going to go on to the next one. Fruitfulness in pain. Fruitfulness in pain, right? So pain becomes a place of production. And the precept that I have for that is Genesis 29, verses 32 to 35. Genesis 29, 32 to 35. Genesis 29, 32 to 35. And it reads, "And Leah conceived and bare a son, and she called his name Reuben. For she said, Surely the Lord hath looked unto my afflictions. Now, therefore, my husband will love me." And she conceived again and bare a son, and said, Because the Lord hath heard I was hated, he hath therefore given me this son also. And she called his name Simeon. And she conceived again and bare a son, and said, Now this time will my husband be joined unto me, because I have borne him 3 sons. Therefore he was named called Levi. And she conceived again and bare the son, and she said, Now I will praise the Lord. Therefore she called his name Jacob, and left barren. Right? So we know Reuben see a son, right? So in her mindset, she was thinking, now my husband will see me, right? Now my husband will love me, right? Because I bore his first son, right? And then Simeon means heard, right? So the Most High heard I was unloved, right? And then Levi, which is attached, right? Now my husband will join to me, right? That was her mindset. And then Judah, praise. Now I will praise the Most High God, right? After 4 sons, right? So Leah moved from seeking validation from man, right? Once again, she moved from seeking validation from her husband of being loved, having affection, and all that other stuff, to resting in worship in the Most High God, right? Because now she's sitting there, all right, now I'm gonna praise the Most High God, right? And you can name your pain, or you can name your praise. Which one are y'all naming? Are you gonna name your pain, or you gonna name your praise? Right? So the Most High, praise in the Most High ended the need to be chosen. Right? Because after her praising the Most High, she felt like that's all she really needed. She didn't need validation from anyone else, right? Even her husband. Long as the Most High was happy, right? And that just reminded me of a little this phrase was like, you ain't gotta like it long as God love it, right? You ain't gotta like it long as I love it. That's all that matter, right? So I'm moving on to the next. praise shifts the season, right? Judah changed everything, right? Which is praise. So praise changed everything, right? So the precept for that is Genesis 29 and 35. Genesis 29 and 35. Genesis 29 and 35. And it reads, and she conceived again and bare a son. And she said, now will I praise the Lord. Right? And we already just read that, but I'm just reread it again. Right? Now will I praise the Lord. Therefore she called him Judah and left barren. Right? So praise marked a turning point. Right? From her praising the Most High again, from her thinking and trying to get that validation. Right? And Judah came before rest. So praise came before rest, right? Praise wasn't the result of healing, it was the response to pain, right? So praise doesn't wait for condition to improve. Praise doesn't wait for the condition to improve, right? Because you're supposed to give that praise even when you're going through, right? So it ain't going to be when everything is peaches and rainbow, right? All right. Going on to the next slide. And that is comparison creates strife. Right? We don't want to be, comparing each other, right? Especially when you're in a polygamous relationship. I know y'all hate that P word. I know y'all hate it. But it's just all reality of it, right? Don't kill the messenger. Don't hate me for it. But it's also reality, right? So 2 women, 2 different legs, right? So it's Rachel and Leah, right? They're sisters who became sister wives, right? So Genesis chapter 30 pretty much, talks about that in within its entirety, right? So Rachel envied Leah fruitfulness, right? Far as her being able to have kids and be able to bear, and all that other stuff, right? And Leah envied Rachel's affection of like how much the husband loved Leah more, I'm sorry, Slakia, loved Rachel more, right? And that's what Leah wanted, right? So they both had something that the other wanted. Ain't that something? They both had something that the other wanted. And that just goes to show that you got to be appreciative of what you have, right? Because what it said at the bottom, comparison blinds you to what the Most High has already gave you, right? And you don't want to take that for granted at all, right? You're supposed to have joy and love in what the Most High have given you already, right? And comparison keeps you blind to your own blessings, right? Of what he's trying to give to you, right? Or already gave you that, someone else low-key wants, right? But that's what we ain't supposed to be envying, right? Just love what you're placed in, love what you have, right? On to next, right? The woman no one wanted bore most of the tribes of Israel, right? So the one that, Jacob didn't even want, right? He didn't want Leah. He wanted Rachel, right? But yet the Most High blessed her into bearing, most of the tribes of Israel, right? Whole time, right? Because she had the first son, Reuben, right? Then the second son, Simeon. The third son, Levi, right? Which is connected to the priesthood, right? Then you had Judah, who's connected to kings within Israel, and also the Messiah, Hamashiach, right? So Messiah, Yahushua even came from Leah, right? Born as a foremother, right? And then later, she had Issachar, which was the ninth, right? And then Zebulun, which was the 10th, right? But the precept that I have is Romans 4:18-22. Romans 4:18-22. Romans 4:18-22. And it reads, who against hope believed in hope, and he that might become the father of many nations. Hold up. Salaki, I think I have. No, I don't have that precept. Salaki, that's discard that precept. I forgot to take that off. That was from something else. Salaki. Look on. Y'all get the gist of it, right? All right. I actually had another preset that I didn't even put up there. Salaki, y'all, because I've been reading my slides a little bit. Okay, so it's 1 Samuel 16:7. 1 Samuel 16:7. 1 Samuel 16:7. And it reads, but the Lord said unto Samuel, look not on his countenance or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord seeth not as man seeth. For man looks on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks in the heart. Right? So again, that just was to show that the Most High not looking at how you look. Right? He's looking at your inside. Right? He's looking at your heart. He's looking at your mind. What you can actually do, or what you're actually doing. Right? That's what it goes to saying, looks are deceiving, and you gotta be pretty in the inside, not just the outside, right? So next is Leah's death honors her life, right? So Leah's death had honored her life. She was buried with favorable people, right? Which is Genesis 49:31. Genesis 49:31. Genesis 49:31. And it reads, there they buried Abraham and Sarah, his wife. There they buried Isaac and Rebekah, his wife. And there I buried Leah, right? And that's Jacob, right? Speaking unto Israel, unto the children of Israel, just for context in that chapter, right? So the woman he overlooked in life, right? That Jacob overlooked in life, because again, he did not want Leah. He wanted Rachel, right? And didn't show really much love to Leah and showed Rachel love, right? So again, the woman that he overlooked in life, he honored in death by burying her next to his parents and grandparents, who are favorable people unto the Most High, right? And in order to say, I buried Leah, he didn't bury Rachel. He didn't, he buried Leah, right? So her death was honored. On to the next slide, which is lessons from Leah. What can we learn from Leah? That number one, the Most High see pain, right? As we discussed, he doesn't overlook emotional suffering that you may be going through, right? He doesn't overlook those things, right? Number two, fruitfulness is not approval seeking, right? So Leah produced while unloved, right? Stop trying to be chosen by man and be obedient to the Most High God, all right? Read that one more time. Stop trying to be chosen by man and be obedient to the Most High God. Number three is praise changes identity, right? So Judah shifts her force from man to the Most High God, right? Because she was, again, focused on trying to get validation from her husband, right? When she should have been praising and getting validation from the Most High God, right? So praise is a language of healing. Praise is the language of healing. All right, so next one is what Leah teaches us about the Most High God, right? That he sees rejection, he sees emotional pain, and he rewards endurance, period, right? And the Most High majors in the overlooked. He blesses the overlooked. He blesses the ones that you least expect, right? Just like, Noah, he was a drunk, right? But yet he found favor in Noah, right? And most people probably be like, well, why would he want a drunk, right? Or Paul, a murderer, in his times, right? Like, why would you find favor in a murderer? But the Most High did, right? He always had favor in the overlooked, the ones that the people least suspect, right? So then we goes into our reflection questions. Reflection questions are: 1, where have I felt unloved? Where have I felt unloved? And where have I felt unloved? All right. Number 2, am I striving for validation or walking in purpose? Right. And when I say validation, again, are you striving for validation in the world from other people, or are you walking in the purpose of the Most High God? Right. And number 3, what does my praise sound like in pain? Right. What do your praise sound like in pain? And hopefully don't sound like complaining, right? You gotta give it to him. Give it to him, right? Give him that praise that he deserves, right? And a little closing, a little reflection. I am seen by the Most High. I will not strive for validation from others. And I praise in pain, and I will produce purpose, right? Because you are walking in your purpose that the Most High has set for you, right? And bear your fruits. So with that, give honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh Bashem Mashiach Shah, the water for those that be able to turn on, the water for those that are watching later on. Hopefully this lesson was productive and good for those. So I know it was good for me. I definitely needed to hear it, definitely needed to look back into it, right, and seeing how our foremothers, right, and the women of the Bible actually walked, right, and the stuff that they went through, because most of the stuff is nothing new under the sun, y'all. So like most of the stuff that our foremothers and sisters and been through, we probably reliving, right, going through it too. So I know someone had to be moved or touched from this, right? And again, when I talk about polygamy and stuff like that, again, I know that's a sensitive topic, but regardless, it just happens. It happens, right? And that's one of the situations that per se happens. So God, Lord willing, again, that it was in somebody's spirit to receive, even if it wasn't for you today, it might be for you later on down the line. But all praises, again, give honor, power, and glory to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shah, the water. Love y'all. Shalom. Let me show y'all my heart. Shalom.